Welcome to Stillspeakpod. I'm bringing you a story that's unfolding out in California, and it's gaining a lot of traction rather quickly. And you probably heard of it. It's the story of Heidi Planck. It's a very bizarre story and odd circumstances, and overall a mystery. Many of the theories that I'm seeing just are not adding up for me just yet. There's a lot of plausible theories, but none that I'm like, I think it's probably going to be that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you initially what was circulating about her story, and then we're going to get into it because I did some digging, and I'm also going to be digging even more after this video, and I'm most likely going to come back tomorrow with what I find after I do that. So initially it was that Los Angeles Police Department was requesting the help to locate missing 39-year-old Heidi Planck, and she was last seen on October 17th of 2021 in the 7800 block of Gardendale Street in Downey, California. Heidi's family and friends are concerned for her safety. Security footage from October 17th shows her leaving her West Los Angeles home with her dog. Planck went down to Downey to watch her 10-year-old son play football, but her ex-husband, Jim Wayne, said she left the game early. Planck was not present to pick her son up from school on October 20th. On the day Planck disappeared, her dog was found in the evening wandering around an upper floor of a high-rise apartment building in downtown Los Angeles. She was last seen wearing jeans and a gray sweater, driving a gray 2017 Range Rover with California license plate number U840X0. Anyone with information was asked to call the Los Angeles Police Department's Missing Persons Unit at 213-996-1800. During non-business hours or on the weekends, tipsters can call 877-527-3247. Now, some of the hashtags being used are her name, and how you spell the last name is Planck. Heidi's the first name. Missing California, Downey, California, Los Angeles, California, missing person. So those are just some hashtags that you can use to find more information, or if you're planning on sharing, that will get people to find the story quickly. Okay, so that was what initially was circulating and what got everybody's attention. So let's talk about Heidi's job for a moment here, because this is a big part of the story as far as theories are concerned. Now, this could be connected, absolutely, or this could just be a mere coincidence. Heidi was the financial controller or bookkeeper for a company called Camden Capital Partners, LLC. And the company's managing partner, Jason Sugarman, was alleged to have hatched a massive scheme to swindle pension funds out of $43 million, which left a Native American tribe in debt for $60 million. And Jason Sugarman's alleged co-conspirator, Jason, I believe the last name is Galanis, Galanis, was actually sentenced last year to 11 years in prison. Other articles say 15 years, so I'm not sure why there's a discrepancy, but there is. And the government actually declined to pursue criminal charges against Jason Sugarman and instead opted to sue him in civil court in hopes of recouping the $9 million that he alleged to have pocketed from the scheme. And in 2019, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, named Jason Sugarman in the complaint, alleging that he and his business partner, Jason Galanis, stole $43 million from unwitting pension funds to finance the acquisition of conglomerate of European and Bermuda-based insurance companies. Now, Sugarman and Galanis are then alleged to have used the funds to pay off debt. They also bought real estate and shore up the operations of their existing businesses and compensate co-conspirators and make other investments that enrich themselves. And ultimately, Jason Sugarman is accused of siphoning almost $9 million in cash for his direct and personal benefit. And like I said, the other partner was sentenced in January of 2020. And I don't want to attack the victim in the story here, okay? That being said, is there this possibility that she was unaware of this happening as it was happening? Maybe, yes. That being said, it's a little odd considering that she was their financial controller, aka bookkeeper. At one point, when she first started working there a few years ago, she was the executive assistant. And all these allegations seem to have began in 2019, which is now 2 years ago, if you can believe that. I can't. And if she was there for, 5 years, that means that she was there for about 3 years at that point. And how long was it going on prior to that? And was she the the executive assistant at that point and maybe had no access to the finances until after the fact? I'm not sure. I'm going to dig into that because I find it fascinating that eventually she becomes this financial controller and then they're alleged to have done this scheme, which is like, okay, was that before or after they were accused of this in the lawsuits? Because I wouldn't take a job being in control of the finances after hearing that, right? I'd be like, I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm not working here no more and getting caught up in this mess. No way. So I'm going to dig into that a little bit further because I'm really curious when she actually switched from executive assistant to the actual bookkeeper, and was it before or after she became aware of this scheme, if she's not involved and if she had no prior knowledge up until the point they were accused. So of course, this happening with her company is a very big focus of this story, okay? And I think it's part of the reason why it's gaining so much attention now. Because it's like, oh, we're getting into conspiracy land here. And I don't say conspiracy in a bad way. We're talking about, scamming and scheming and fraud, and which is very similar to some of the things that are happening in the Murdaugh case, which really fascinates people. And money can make you do some pretty wild and horrific things. Now, I also don't know how publicized these accusations were until she went missing. Now it seems to be widely known because Heidi allegedly told her friends and family that the company that she was working for had some tax filings that were due, and complained that her boss has her name on so much of their corporate paperwork. So, yeah. Now, is that because she was involved, or was he using her name to hide money, which has happened before, especially if you've ever watched a mob show. You know what I'm talking about. But in actual real life, that's happened before, where somebody's working for a company and they give that person promotions and they give them whatever they want. Meanwhile, they're using their name to hide a certain amount of money without that person even knowing. Now, Heidi's ex-husband, Jim Wayne, is a big part of this story as well. They share a 10-year-old son together, and she was seen by him at their son's football game prior to her disappearance. And we're going to get into some of the things he has said, but in reference to the actual job, the business that she works for, I want to bring up some of the things that he has said about this company while we're on the topic of that. So he reported her missing on October 20th after she didn't pick up their son. And on October 21st, he claims that he got a call from the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, asking him what he knew about Heidi's boss, Jason Sugarman. And he said he didn't know how this person got his name or his number, but she called and started asking questions about Heidi's boss. He is also alluding now to believing that there is a connection between what was happening with the company and Heidi's disappearance. He also alleges that at some point he got on the phone with Sugarman's assistant, and that Sugarman was there in the background, and that he didn't appear to be too concerned that Heidi had gone missing and was more interested in a work computer when they spoke. And he says that he heard him in the background saying, make sure he knows I want my laptop. And he also said, it's a multi-million-dollar company. Why didn't they offer to hire a private investigator or put up a reward? Which, they're going through this lawsuit. So, maybe they really don't have millions of dollars. They stole millions of dollars. Doesn't mean they still have millions of dollars. Or maybe they do. I'm not quite sure. Well, then he spoke with the assistant again, Jim Wayne, the ex-husband, a few days later. And at that time, that same employee, the assistant, accused Heidi Planck of siphoning off money from the company. And when Jim said he didn't believe these accusations, the assistant alleged that they had quote-unquote proof, and he got sent several of Heidi's personal bank statements. And that's key, because how the heck did you get those? And according to Jim, he never actually looked at the bank documents. He immediately gave it to the police. And he claims that later the investigators actually told him that Heidi didn't have a lot of money in her accounts. And he had no idea where Sugarman got her bank statements. And I wonder the same thing. How did you even get that? Now, Jim was asked a lot of questions about Heidi. He is her ex-husband, right? And he basically said that as a bookkeeper, she was earning $125,000 a year, plus monthly bonuses of up to $1,500 a month. Now, this is California. And if you know anything about California, it's a hell of a lot of money to live, okay? And the house that she was staying in, I don't know if it's a townhome, certainly huge to be a townhome, is probably a pretty penny. I'm talking at least, just by looking at it, without even looking it up off the top of my head here, I'm going with that place had to be at least $700,000, if not significantly more. And she did drive a 2017 Range Rover, which, hey, if you're working your butt off and you're able to cover the cost of those things, all power to you, girl. So then Jim said that basically, Heidi knows all of Jason's, secrets and the company's secrets, that she, quote, knows where the bones are buried, unquote. And he thinks this whole thing stinks and something just doesn't feel right, and he just can't put his finger on it. Now, her mother, Heidi's mom, did mention that Heidi had plans for the future. She was making plans for Thanksgiving. She was going to go back to Buffalo area to visit with her family. She was also planning to attend a class reunion, and that Heidi and a friend were due to travel back east for that reunion. And so this seemed to be like she had plans to be around. Now let's discuss the dog, okay? Because I think that's one of the most bizarre parts of this story. So you see her in surveillance footage leaving her home with the dog. And then her dog is located on the 28th floor of a high-rise building with none of Heidi's possessions at all, okay? Just hours later. And it is a residential building in downtown LA. And Jim Wayne, her ex-husband, traced the dog's microchip to this apartment complex after Heidi had been reported missing. And this poor pup, he was found, wandering, and a resident of the apartment complex actually found him and cared for the dog for about a week until Jim was able to contact the microchip company and track down the dog's location. After getting the dog, he went back to the building to check the parking garage like a few days later, and he says that he didn't see her car there, which we're going to get to is still missing as well. Now, initially, it was being reported that the owners of this high-rise apartment complex was refusing to cooperate with investigators and denied requests to search the building's parking structure and security footage without a warrant. And the Omni Group, a real estate development company, is the owner of the building, and it's called the Hope and Flower Luxury Residential Complex in downtown Los Angeles. Now let me tell you something, just like her home, this apartment place is gorgeous, beautiful, tremendous. It's huge, absolutely beautiful. I can only imagine that the rent there in downtown Los Angeles is astronomical. So this isn't a building that has businesses. It has apartments, basically. Condos, whatever you want to call them. They're referring to it as an apartment complex. And one of Heidi's prior jobs was working for a real estate company. So there's some talk about maybe she knew somebody who purchased one of the apartments, through her old job, and she went to go see them, and maybe there's a connection there. But her ex-husband doesn't know of her having any connection to this building at all, but her dog just magically appears on the 28th floor. I mean, dogs can't press buttons on elevators, so how the hell did the dog get there? And this isn't a big dog. This isn't like a Great Dane or a German Shepherd. It looks like a, if I had to guess, I would go with like one of those Labradoodles or Schnauzer Doodles, those fancy mixed type dogs. Cute dog nonetheless. Poor thing probably doesn't know what the hell's going on. So anyway, allegedly they weren't cooperating. And then police got a warrant, and then of course they began cooperating because they didn't really have a choice. And the amount of security cameras at this place going each building and individual floors is obviously very extensive. And it's trying to narrow down the timeline and see how the hell this dog appeared on the 28th floor. This portion of the story is just so bewildering. It's just really confusing and odd. You can only assume like she's got to be in that building or that was the last place she was, because how else is this dog going to end up in this apartment complex in downtown LA it just doesn't make any sense. Now, let's talk about Jim Wayne, because he, of course, is under a lot of scrutiny. He's the ex-husband, and he was the last one to see her at this football game. He's been very talkative, and anytime somebody is talkative, the public immediately wants to scrutinize every single syllable the person says, okay? Everything. And so, of course, he's under heavy surveillance by the public. And Jim says that she left her son's football game at halftime and that she appeared edgy. He said that she was a little bit antsy. He doesn't know why. He just knows, obviously, that was the last time he saw her or talked to her. And he also said that Heidi kept switching her seat. 1 minute she was sitting by us, he said, whoever us is. The next she was over sitting in a different bleacher. And then at halftime is when she took off, and she was scheduled to pick up their 10-year-old son at his private school in West LA 3 days later on October 20th. And that's the point when she didn't show up for that they got concerned and he reported her missing. And he said that, she was a really devoted mother who would never, ever leave her son. And friends are echoing what he said. So, a lot of people are like, well, maybe she, took off because of the lawsuits that are happening against her business and she just left her son. Maybe she's in witness protection program. Maybe she's this, maybe she's that. So there's a lot of theories that involved, her leaving her son behind. And friends said, absolutely not. There's no way. This was her only child. He was her whole world. And, the only way that they can see her doing that is if Heidi felt like it would protect her son. And sadly, her son turned 11 years old yesterday, and all he wanted was to hear from his mom. And Jim said, quote, this poor kid, he just needs to know what the hell happened to his mom, and he's going to have some kind of closure, unquote. He said that the son was doing okay until he saw a photo of them the other day, and he just broke down, and he just wanted one more time to talk to her, and it really hurt Jim's heart that, he said this, and he claims that it was really painful to hear. And Jim was asked basically to describe Heidi. And he said that she was a great worker and a great mom. He said that they have totally different parenting styles, that he's a very strict dad. And then he said, this is not my first rodeo. I've got 2 older kids. And that, their son is the only child they have together, and that Heidi was much more relaxed in her parenting style, that they were married for a couple of years, and they divorced they divorced 9 years ago. A lot of people were perturbed by his description of her and the fact that he pointed out that her parenting style was more relaxed, and they felt like it was his way of complaining about her parenting. While I see why they're saying that, at the same time, I'm not really sure that it's alarming in any way. I mean, he was asked to describe her and their relationship, and this is what he came up with. Now, it should be noted here that there was a significant age difference between the two, 24 years. She's 39, he's 63. Their son is 10, which means that he was 53 when he was born, and that would have made Heidi, well, he just turned 11, so it would have made him 52, and her 28. So, yeah, that's a big age difference. This is why he said, this is not my first rodeo. I have 2 other children who are probably much older. Now, according to him, they seem to have a very friendly, good, amicable separation and relationship, okay? And so you have to think, like, well, if he's telling the truth, what would his motive be? I don't know. I mean, they seem to share custody, and, the kid seems to be with one a certain amount of time and the other one a certain amount of time, because if we go to the calendar, okay, she was last seen on the 17th, which was a Sunday. And then on the 20th, she was supposed to pick her son up at school, and she didn't arrive, and that's when she reported missing. So clearly the son was with the father on a Monday and a Tuesday, whereas usually if it's just like a weekend thing or every other weekend, that's not the case here, because the kid was with the father until she was supposed to pick him up at his private school on the 20th. So I don't know. I mean, as far as motive's concerned, what his motive would be, I don't know if he is paying a significant amount of money to her. That's totally possible. I don't know the details of their, custody, divorce, and all that. I'm going to dig into it to see if I can find it, but most likely I won't be able to. Now, of course, he was the last one to see her at the football game, so that's going to, raise some eyebrows. I expected that. And then the fact that he is so talkative and is talking to every outlet that calls gives people even more reason to basically side-eye him, like, what's up with this guy? And the fact that he's believing that the company's fraud scheme may be involved in what happened to Heidi, people feel like that's deflection. Like, he did something and he's trying to point the fingers at this company. When what he said is that the day after reporting her missing, that is when he got a call from a SEC official asking about Jason Sugarman. So I think, in my opinion, if that were me, I don't know what I would think, and I can't say what I would do until I'm in that circumstance, and hopefully I never am, but I would think that getting that phone call, you'd be like, and that would definitely make you suspicious. And why are you asking me these questions the day after I reported her missing? And that you would make that connection. And then, of course, that's where your mind would go when you have no other possible theory of what could have possibly happened to her if you're the one that's innocent. So if he knows that, hey, I'm innocent, I really don't know what the hell happened to her, and somebody kind of plants that idea that maybe this fraud is involved in her disappearance, then yeah, I can see you kind of going with that. So I don't think it's totally alarming that he's pointing the finger at the company. At least not yet, I don't. Now, Heidi also had a possible boyfriend, and I say possible because her mother was asked about whether or not Heidi was dating somebody, and the mom said that Heidi did mention she was dating somebody on and off, but that she didn't really know if she could call him her boyfriend or not. And Jim also spoke about this boyfriend or possible boyfriend. So this man, whose name I cannot find, and I'm going to look into that as well. Like I said, I did a little digging, and I'm going to do more digging later, and I'm going to come back to you probably tomorrow with what I find. But according to Jim, this guy and Heidi had gotten into an argument because this guy lives in San Francisco, and she wanted him to come down, but he couldn't because he had to work. And he had no idea that Heidi was even missing. He just thought that she was ghosting him. And if you don't know what ghosting means, basically avoiding his calls, avoiding him, ending it, calling it off, went ghost. But then Jim insisted that he doesn't think that there's any connection to Heidi being missing and this man, and insisted that this man is a really great guy. So now Heidi's still missing. Her dog has been found. Her car, her 2017 gray Range Rover with California license plates, is still missing. I said the plate number earlier in this video. I don't have it in front of me right this moment. So that's still missing. And when there was a wellness check at her home on the day that she was reported missing, they did find a laptop, and a phone. Now listen, there was a lot of confusion about this phone, okay? People thought it meant personal phone. I'm seeing different talk where it was that she had two different phones, a business phone and a regular phone. And I believe the one that was in the home was the business phone, because Jim alleges that at the football game, he did see her on a phone. So that must have been her personal phone. Now, if this was her personal phone at home and she had the personal phone with her at the football game too, that would mean that she had went back to her house after the football game, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because they have surveillance footage of her leaving the home. You would think that if she went back there after leaving the football game unexpectedly quickly, then the end of the game, that they would also have footage of her going back to the house. So I really do think it was the business phone. And they said that the property was in pristine condition other than that, and finding those two items. Now the media is reporting that police did a raid on her home. I don't know if you can really classify it as a raid because I've never really seen police do a raid on a missing person's home before. Now they could just be using that word. I'm not sure. You know, the media, they're a bit dramatic and they exaggerate at times. And it's, federal agents and the LAPD robbery homicide detectives carried out a search warrant at her home. And the reason I think they're using raid is because they went into the home with guns drawn. And it was said that the officers believed that they may have been walking into an active crime scene. But no other details were really given on why they thought that might be the case. They did take some files, supposedly, that may be connected to the investigation into the fraud charges with the company. They also took electronics, and I'm going to assume that means the laptop that was found in the home the day that she went missing, and probably the business phone, and allegedly also her son's phone. Now, I remember with Brian Laundrie in the Gabby Petito case, on September 20th, they executed a search warrant at his home. That was after he was already missing and after Gabby's body had been found. And the FBI had went into his backyard, and it looked like guns, but I think they were tasers. I'm not 100% sure. But when they were opening up sheds and whatnot in the backyard, they were doing stances like they were expecting somebody to jump out at them, just to be cautious. So, like I said, I don't know that it's really can be considered a raid. I think it was just more of them carrying out the search warrant and then was like, okay, well, maybe this is an active crime scene. Let's just be on our guard type of situation. So they had guns drawn just in case. Now, let's talk about some theories here before we end this and I go digging some more. Again, as far as the ex-husband, they were at a football game, so there's obviously going to be other people there, including their son. So if he left at any point, I would think that the son would have noticed that, like if his mom left and then all of a sudden his dad leaves, right? And then they're gone for a period of time and then the dad comes back for him at the game. It was halftime, allegedly, that she left. So there was a whole other half of the game. So, I guess, and we don't know what the son's saying, but you would think that somebody would have seen him leaving this game with her if something happened between the two. And what's crazy is that once they tracked down the dog and they figured all that out, they figured out that the dog actually showed up on the 28th floor 3 hours after she had left the game. So they got from Downey, California to downtown LA to this apartment complex on the 28th floor, and it was within a 3-hour mark. Sorry, I forgot to mention that earlier. So, yeah, I mean, is it possible he's involved in some way? I mean, sure, right? He's the ex-husband. Or maybe they're just have like a friendly, healthy ex relationship, and he's truly concerned about the mother of his son, and he's trying to get the word out as much as possible, because let me tell you, it's actually working. And yes, he's being super talkative, but he's been on almost every station now, and it's gaining traction, so can't hate on that much. And if he is guilty, well, that's just really stupid of you, because you're bringing a ton of attention towards yourself. Not that criminals haven't done that before, or suspects haven't done that before. They absolutely have. I'm just saying he's really out there. He's really out there. And so that would be really stupid of him. And he, to me, does not appear to be a very stupid person. And he's actually a hairdresser for celebrities, which is kind of a cool job. Not that that says anything about whether or not he's stupid. I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was a cool job. So yeah, of course, we can put him on the list of persons of interest on YouTube land. Then you have this maybe possible on again, off again dating guy out in San Francisco. What's his motive, right? They weren't even like official yet. What would be his motive to harm her in any way? And an argument over her wanting him to come to LA and he can't because of work, I don't think would really lead to some type of murder. But he was dating her, so you gotta put him on the persons of interest list in YouTube land. And then you have this, is this a connection to this company? Sounds crazy. Sounds like, oh God, give me a break. This is just like a big, come on. But, I mean, you can't avoid it, right? So, yeah, it is a possibility. So you got to add that to the list. Is somebody connected to this company involved in the disappearance of Heidi? Then you have this apartment complex. Did she know somebody there? Was she dating somebody else? Did she go have a meeting with somebody? Was she there because of her old job at the real estate company and she was visiting somebody who was there? Maybe she was trying to get out of the company that she's currently in because of this investigation, and she went there to meet somebody to talk about another job. It's an apartment complex, so that would be a little odd, but, you know, maybe she was networking and met somebody who knew somebody type of situation, and she went there to go meet them. And the biggest thing here is, how did this dog get there? This tells me that she was there at some point. She may not be there now, or she may be, but at some point she was there. Because that dog ends up going into this apartment complex and making it to the 28th floor. So that's just crazy in itself. And I mean, going back to this company, if it's true that she really knows all the secrets, or where they hide all the bones, as her ex-husband said, then yeah, that puts her in great risk if somebody's trying to hide something. And like I said earlier in this video, money can make people do absolutely horrific things. In more cases than not, even if there's a primary motive, there's always money involved somewhere. Sometimes it's the main motive, and sometimes it's the secondary or even the third one. So somewhere in there, money always seems to be a driving force in motive. As far as leaving her son, you know, I see this theory come up so often in cases of somebody just, you know, leaving. And it does happen. I mean, I get it. People do that. But I guess for me, then this is a personal thing. I have children. I have multiple children. And there's absolutely nothing that would cause me to leave them. And I mean nothing. They are my life, literally. Everything revolves around them. And if for some reason I was ever going to leave, because I was in danger or whatever, they're coming with me. So if I'm going on the run to some, cabin in the woods, they're coming with. I don't even like being apart from my kids for a day. I complain I need a break, and then I get a break and I miss my kids. So I see myself when I hear like people saying, oh, maybe this mom, just left her kid. And I kind of just go, I don't know. I know not every parent is the same. Not every mom is the same. It's hard for me to envision that any mom would leave their child, especially it's her only child, her only son. At the same time, if she felt that he was in danger and that her taking off would keep him safe, then maybe, I guess. I don't know. I can't get on board with it fully. Not yet. And then another theory that's going around big time is that maybe she's in witness protection. This also seems to be tossed around a lot as far as theories are concerned in cases. I've heard it multiple times in recent cases. And the thing with that is, one, I don't think they would have executed a search warrant on her home with guns drawn if they knew she was in witness protection. And I also don't think that they would allow what's going on with the media, because now it's becoming a very big story and it's going to turn into a media circus. Absolutely, watch. It's going to happen if she's not found soon. And I think they would shut it all down. They would find a way to squash the media's talk about it. And also, if they had her in witness protection program, then she could have just given them the laptop, the phone, the files from the house, rather than to get a search warrant and go in there and get it. So I don't think that's the case at all. And then, of course, there's just, a random act of violence. She was kidnapped. Maybe she was going to meet a friend and somebody seized an opportunity to take her. The dog kind of throws me off here, because dogs are usually very protective of their owner, the one they spend the most time with. And I'm not saying the dog would have attacked somebody, but definitely would be barking, upset, following after them. And the thing about this is that while they were able to get into the security footage, and they're probably digging through countless amounts of camera footage about the time that the dog appeared on that 28th floor at this time, you could, but geez, it would take a really long time to do this, get search warrants for every single apartment in this complex. And Heidi can be in there right now in one of the apartments, alive or deceased. And it could have been there for the last, how many days it's been? Let me see. It's been 17 days. So there have been stories where somebody went missing in an apartment complex, high-rise building, and later, were taken out of the building in bags or suitcases or boxes, not Tupperware, but what are those big things that you get for after Christmas? Rubbermaid thingy-majiggies. And I don't want to think like that, right? I want to have hope that she's okay. However, it's been 17 days, and, well, that's never a good sign. And I have to wonder if they're checking her or have access to her phone, because she probably has it with her or had it with her at some point, and then trying to track down any type of bank activity, unless she's using cash. I would like to think that she left on her own accord, right? I want to believe that, because that means she's okay. Terrible that she would leave her son behind, unless she did it because she wanted him to be safe. But I want to believe that. At the same time, I'm a realistic person. I'm a logical person. This woman disappeared 17 days ago. She missed her son's 11th birthday. Okay? Birthdays are huge for moms, okay? It's the day you went through hell to bring this child who you love unconditionally into the world. So I don't think that she would intentionally leave and miss out on her son's birthday. And if she was going to make an escape of some sort, I think she would have waited a few extra days so that she can be around for his 11th birthday before doing such. But again, I'm looking at that from the standpoint of myself, and I understand that not everybody is like me. So overall, this is really bizarre. It's very mysterious circumstances. And the dog part of the story leaves me really puzzled. I'm very fascinated on where this is going to go and when she is going to be found. And I'm just curious real quickly, and I'm going to look it up real fast. If you just hang on 1 second, I'm going to look up how many apartments are actually in this complex. Holy smokes, I put you on pause to look that up. And oh, wow. So I pulled up the site to the Hope and Flower, and I did a search for available apartments. And remember I said the rent prices are probably astronomical? Well, I was right. For a 522 square foot apartment, a studio is $3,000 a month. 2 bedrooms are running, looks like about $4,500, and 3, whoa, yikes. 3 bedrooms are 1,500 square feet, which is a little bit bigger than my house, and $8,600 a month. So yeah, that's completely off topic, but that just, wow, that's a lot of money. I couldn't even imagine that amount of money on a place to live. I definitely will never be living in downtown LA. So anyways, let me find what I was looking for now. Okay, so 730 rental apartments with 8,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space. So wow, that's a lot of apartments. And that would be a lot of search warrants to try to get to see if she is in one of them. This place is absolutely stunningly beautiful, and it's freaking gigantic. I just had a brain fart, but what was the story of the woman in the hotel? Lisa Lamb or something? I'm getting that weird vibe. Remember, they like scoured that hotel looking for her, and she was ultimately found in the water tank on the roof. I'm looking at this building, and I'm getting this similar vibe. I kind of feel like she's there somewhere. Heidi is in this building. That's just my gut reaction to looking at this building. I'm like, this woman is most likely in this building somewhere, but it is so gigantic. You'll see it in the video. So anyway, that's it for tonight. That's an introduction to Missing Heidi Planck. And we're going to get into this, and we're going to follow it, and I'm going to provide updates because it's a hell of a mystery. I'm working on some other stories to bring you to that are mystery type stories. There's only so much time in the day. Again, I have multiple children, so bear with me. And I was working on those other ones when I saw this one, and I was like, all right, I can't wait. I need to do this one first because this one's happening currently in the moment, where the other ones were about a year ago. They're just still unsolved. Not that they're less important. I just wanted to jump on this from the get-go and get it out there. So I'm going to do some more digging and see what I can find as far as some of the questions that I posed here throughout the video. And until next time, I'll see you soon.